Thank you for listening to the Midwest Horse Fair Outside the Arena podcast, where we share wonderful real-life stories and expert advice from the equine clinicians and entertainers from around the country who have been a part of the largest 3-day horse fair in the USA. Our first series will include several interviews conducted during the 2024 fair. This is Kelly Kinney, the Midwest Horse Fair Coliseum announcer, and we hope you'll all stick around and learn more about the fascinating lives of these experts outside the arena.
Welcome to the Midwest Horse Fair podcast. We are here with Ryder and Bethany Kiesner. They are trick ropers, riders, gunslingers, you name it, they've done it. So if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself to give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, so my name's Ryder Kiesner, and I've been performing at rodeos and Wild West shows since 2003 professionally. I've got to travel all across the country, and now I get to do it with my beautiful wife. So I live a really fun life.
Yeah, and I'm Bethany Kiesner. Like you said, I'm his wife. We just got married back in October, so pretty newly married.
Yes, it's recent.
Yeah. So like you said, we perform at rodeos. I trick ride in our act, and I describe that as gymnastics on horseback. Anything that a gymnast does, I do, but my balance beam is a moving horse.
So how did you get started, each of you, and what do you do?
Yeah, so I like I said, I'm 5th generation horse trainer in my family. My dad, he trained reiners, working cow horses. My uncle, he actually does Arab English horses, and my grandpa rode. And so when I was a kid, I kind of grew up going to rodeos and stuff. My dad rode broncs. I got a Will Rogers trick roping kit for Christmas when I was 9 years old. I junior rodeoed and stuff, but I got that trick roping kit, and I really liked trick roping. And, I always juggled and rode unicycles, and I did magic tricks, and I'm the Kansas State champion yo-yoer. Like, anything nerdy and spinning something, I always like manipulating objects. And so I enjoyed that. So trick roping, I really took to it. And I grew up watching Roy Rogers, so like gun spinning and whip cracking and all that kind of fell into it. And so that's kind of how I got started. I just kind of moved all the furniture back in the living room and watched the roping fool and old trick roping videos of Will Rogers and stuff. And I really fell into love with the trick roping side of it. And now it's been able to be something that I travel the world spinning a piece of bale and twine.
Yeah, so Ryder's a 5th generation cowboy. I'm 1st generation cowgirl. I did not grow up in this. And this is a story I don't always tell, when I do podcasts or the short version, but it's the Midwest Horse Fair, so I think it's amazing to know what horses can do for people.
Yeah.
And when I was 9 years old, I developed anorexia and was really sick. And, for a 9-year-old, I lost about 20 pounds, which was a lot because I had a twin who weighed about 60 pounds and she was healthy, and I weighed, because we're little, and I weighed about 43 pounds at 9 years old. I was just withering away, and my mom took me to lots of doctors and counselors, and nothing was working. And they said, and I remember them saying, hey, if you keep going like this, you're going to die. And at 9 years old, I said, I'm okay with that. I was depressed. And so anyways, they said, you got to get her into something that makes her happy again. You've got to find stuff. And there was a stable that opened up in our hometown, and my mom is absolutely terrified of horses, but she came to me and said, would this be something you want to try? And I said, yeah, I think I'd like it. And, that first lesson I was weak and tired, and I remember they put me on a horse, and man, it was just the happiest I'd been. My mom said, I remember watching you bounce around, and I thought, oh, this isn't working. And she said, but I seen the smile on your face. And so anyways, my mom seen it started making me better, and the rule was if I didn't eat, I couldn't ride. So we'd go take lessons and ride, and then my mom scrounged up some money, and she bought me a horse. My first horse's name was Honey, and just the most gentle, sweetest quarter horse you've ever met. Just slow, just a big baby setter. And as long as I could see Honey, I was happy, and I started to just get some life back in me. And so I'd been riding for a couple months. Me and my twin sister, we would take lessons together, and I saw a lady trick riding. She came out to the ranch. She had trick rode for years, and it was her bachelorette weekend. She was getting married and about ready to just retire, so she just had a little hoorah, did a little show for us, and I remember thinking that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So I started on Honey, my slow, gentle quarter horse. God bless her for taking care of me, hanging off the side of her and standing up and doing the things I don't recommend you do at home by yourself, and was fortunate enough that Jennifer heard that she'd inspired us and came back, and she taught me and my sister. And my mom, being as supportive as she was and as terrified of horses as she was, got us a truck and a trailer, and she hauled us all over the Midwest. And we got to perform, and it was something that I loved. It really gave me my life back. My horses did, and the trick riding was just a light, and I just loved it. So my twin eventually stopped trick riding, but I knew it's what I wanted to do for a career, and I've been very fortunate. I worked really hard and was able to get my PRCA card, and that's how I met Ryder, and now I make a living doing this.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate, thank you for sharing that story, and I appreciate you bringing up kind of that health and fitness component to it. And so to be a trick rider is there's got to be a lot. So can you tell us how do you prepare, for the mental and physical component of what you do?
Yeah, so mental and physical, those are both really important. And, I still focus on health and fitness. It used to be when I was younger, didn't want to eat at all. And now it's really fueling my body to eat enough to feel good and to perform good. I work out about 5 or 6 days a week, and now it has nothing to do with the way I look and everything to do with the way I feel and can perform. So I weight lift, I do some functional training and some Pilates, and I make sure to try to stretch and do yoga about 5 or 6 days a week to keep limber. And then, the mental side, like you said, that's really tough. I think that's probably the biggest part of it.
Absolutely.
I'll always say in practice, Ryder can see the look on my face. I'll be about to leave my corner and head off and do a lap. But I know before I leave that corner if I'm going to do that trick. Like, it's all up here. It's all in the head. If I'm going to, do the trick or not.
Yeah, it's full send
or
yes,
send or nothing.
Yes,
and I think my coach used to say only hesitation hurts. And as a kid, I didn't understand what that meant. And now I get it. If you're going full out, if you wreck, it's way better than if you're like half in, half out. So a big mental side.
That's wild. And so this is your first time here at the Midwest Horse Fair as a team, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But Ryder, I know this is not your first time here. You've been here before with your family. What's it like to be back at the Midwest Horse Fair? I mean, now with your wife, but how has it changed? How does it feel?
I mean, this is a great show, and to be able to come here, I with my family, we used to do like a mini Wild West show where my dad did cowboy mounted shooting, gun spinning. I did the trick rope and the whip cracking. My little brother did Roman riding and trick riding. And so to be able to come back and perform a show now with my wife, it's really cool because it's something that I think it was 2005, 2006 I was able to be a part of. And I mean, the crowd here is electric. Like last night, it was a great show. Barnes Pro Rodeo, they put on a great show. John Harrison, he's a legend here.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, he's a legend everywhere. But, Kelly Kenny, they have all-star cast here. And so to be able to perform at a rodeo of this caliber is just fun in itself. But to also be a place that it's been a long time since I've been here, and be able to come back and be like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's really cool just because it reminds you where you started, and be able to come back and just do it. It's a big show, so it's something that you want to bring your A game to. Wish it was a little warmer out, but other than that,
yes.
It's been a blast.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and know for me personally, you and your brother and your family, that you guys were a huge part of my childhood growing up here at the Midwest Horse Fair. You guys were such a class act, and I still remember talking to your mom and dad out around the arenas. You've always been incredibly approachable and kind, and so for me personally, it's great to see kind of full circle moment for everything. But you've been a lot of places, and so what is kind of the best memory, favorite performance? You guys have been a ton of places. Performing, yeah, right. Thank you for the plug. We appreciate it. But I mean, you've been to the National Finals Rodeo. Can anything top that?
Oh, I mean, the big rodeos are awesome. I'm not going to say they're not, and that's really cool. I've gotten to perform in 14 different countries. We're actually doing a rodeo in Alaska in about a month.
Very cool.
We performed in every state in America, done a rodeo in Hawaii. The coolest part, I don't know if it's actually doing the shows as much. I mean, it's fun when they're cheering and all that, but it's the memories, it's the people, it's the stories. I have friendships with, John Harrison, I've known since I was in diapers almost. Kelly Kenny, Davey Kim's working here, and he was in my dad's wedding. A lot of these people are family and friends. Marty Barnes, the guy who's putting on this rodeo, he actually rode, he was a traveling partner with my dad. So literally they've known each other before I was born. So coming here, it's more than just a job. It's more than just doing a show.
It's a family reunion at this point.
And so, and be able to do it with her, we've got to go see Mount Rushmore. We get to go see Niagara Falls. We get to go hike the Grand Canyon. Those are the kind of things that I think I'm going to remember most is kind of just the journey through life is that like it's fun that we get to do, like there's people who save up, work, and then at 65 they buy an RV and they travel the country and they get to do all the things we're doing in 25 and 32 and we get paid to do it. We get to have a nice horse trailer with our horses and dogs and basically get to live a life that a lot of people save up their whole life to do. And so I think that's the part that I'm really happy about. We get to spread some joy and, I hope people have a good time watching us, but I know being able to do it, that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, I agree with Ryder. Just all the amazing places we get to go. And each and every rodeo, I had a lady I used to look up to, Linda Schultz, and she used to say, it doesn't matter if there's 20 people in that crowd or 20,000 people. We do the same show because you don't know who you're going to touch. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's so special that I get to something that I've loved since I was a kid and would be doing if I was home. People come and watch and are maybe inspired by that, and maybe not to be a trick rider because I know that's a little crazy, but I hope when we do something, it means a lot to me to be able to do a performance and to maybe have a little girl say, wow, if she can live her dream, I can live mine. And that's my absolute favorite part, is being able to hopefully inspire some young girls.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys put on a great show, and you've got quite the string of horses that you're bringing around the country. So tell us a little bit about those team of Palominos that you're hauling around.
Yeah. So the one I rode last night, her name is Vanilla. She's 16 years old. She was one of the first horses my mom bought for the act. And at the time we had to buy cheap because we didn't have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So we got her, and she was a little bit of an outlaw. She was, just spooky, and just we used her as a Roman riding horse. She would, where you stand on the two. My twin was a great Roman rider, and we had a team, and she was part of the team, and she'd do that. But when we tried to do the trick riding on her, she would just run as fast as she could and buck at the same time. And so we truly thought, this horse is not going to work. And now at 16, she's turned into my go-to. When we turn the lights out and we've got full pack crowds, she's who I trust. So she's really special. And then I've got another horse whom I've been doing the demos on all weekend. His name is Cowboy. I got him about 3 years ago, and he's been traveling with us and honestly does a lot of my shows, and he just doesn't love these little arenas. He loves big summer outdoor shows.
Yep. Makes sense.
So we're working on that. We worked on that in the demos today, teaching him to take these little arenas well too. But yeah, he's really special to me. He's really quirky and funny. And then Ryder's trick roping horse, he used to be a little reining horse. Ryder had a horse he used to ride Brick. He had him for years, and we just retired him, and he's at home living a life of luxury. And now he's got Mojo, and Mojo used to be a little reiner, and now he's got a really easy life with us. All he's got to do is lope Ryder around a couple slow circles and stand and not move, which he's really good at. So.
Absolutely.
Sometimes he'll move every now and then.
Right. So is that something you look for in a horse? How are you guys picking out your horsepower?
Yeah, so, obviously we're looking for very different horses. I've got some coming up at home, and I like speed. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to get the speed and the mindset. We need them to want to run, but we need them to, when the lights go out and the spotlight comes on and I'm off the side, we need them to think too.
Yes.
So that's hard, and it's a lot of trial and error. And then, for Ryder, we're looking for something that just likes to stand, just a little more lazy.
Very different.
Very different. But we've got some good ones, and we've got some up-and-comers at home. We travel all year and want to make sure no one gets tired. So we've got some young guys coming up at home that have been working really well too.
Well, it just sounds like you guys are very busy traveling and all over the place. But can you talk a little bit about who you guys are outside the arena? Do you have time for any personal interests, hobbies, like fishing, camping, like anything? What do you have time to do outside of performing?
Yeah, a lot of it does go into traveling. A year ago we did 153 performances.
Wow,
and
that's a lot. Yeah.
It gets a lot of driving. So like if there's a day off, a lot of times it's laundry and going to the feed store, taking care of the horses. Like we travel with 3 horses, 2 dogs, so a lot of it's maintenance. A lot of it's practicing. One thing we're very blessed is that we joked that we would do this if we got paid or if we didn't. I love trick roping. Trick roping is my hobby. This week I had a couple of days in between the last show, and I went to a park. I went for a run. I cracked whips and I trick roped in the park for a couple hours. Like I like it. I really do love what I do. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of weird hobbies. I braid whips, I yo-yo, I juggle. A lot of it though is created by eye-hand coordination. I like to make stuff, but a lot of it's eye-hand coordinated where it helps my skills.
Craft,
I guess if we have time, we like to go on hikes, and we kind of like to go exploring. Not a lot of what we do is inside. We do like to go and kind of explore. She likes to eat sushi, so we
love sushi.
My favorite hobby, though, is actually I've got a 2-year-old niece, and I FaceTime her every single day, and we talk about a lot of nonsense. She likes when I'm putting my show makeup on, and she will get her little makeup kit out, and we do her makeup together. So staying connected with family, that's something I try to do a lot while we're on the road.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What is, when you talk about your stage makeup, this is not an advertisement, but what is something that you need in your trailer, or you need in your makeup kit? What can't you live without?
Gosh, I love a good lipstick.
There you go.
Like that's something I'll spend a lot on, because if it's bad and it smears, Ryder's looking at me because he doesn't understand.
That's fine.
But
we're going to ask you next.
Because I have totally bought like the cheaper lipstick and then hang upside down and come out and it's all over my face and I look crazy. So I would say a really good lip stain, one that you got to scrub off at the end of the night.
Yes. It's got to stay on. Ryder, how about you? What's something that you cannot live without in your trailer?
Good eyeliner.
Absolutely. No doubts.
Man, I think a rope. Like if I didn't have a rope,
this is true. It's really silly question.
I tell you what, I really couldn't live without is her right now. If she wasn't there, I don't know if I would know where my shirts or my socks would be. Like a lot of it. I don't know how I did it without her for so many years.
This is true.
It's a lot easier. She got me trained. Now it's like. I don't know. I couldn't do it.
Calling this morning, I went to warm my horse up before the demo just because it's cold out. I want it to move, and then I have to call them. Okay, I've got the coffee pod in the maker. You press this button and this button, and you'll have coffee.
I love it. So, is there anybody outside of each other that you call on as part of your support system? Who do you call to when things get tough and you need support or advice?
Yeah, so I mean, a big part of it's our families. We used to do this a lot with our families. My mom is someone that can always calm me down, or if I've had a day or a bad performance, she's someone that can ground me, and she's always so big on the big picture. What does this matter? I rely on my faith a lot, and she'll always remind me, God put you here, and one mistake's not gonna make or break it, and really you can do the biggest shows, but if you're not kind to people, then it doesn't matter. So she's really good at grounding me. I also have an 8-year-old sister, I would say, that grounds me a lot. She watches me on TV sometimes, and I believe her last comment was she came up and watched and she said, is she doing the same thing she always does? And my mom said, yeah. And she said, well, then we don't need to watch this. So, good family to keep you grounded.
Family will do that to you. Yes.
I've been really blessed. My dad, he was a big part of rodeo. My mom, my brother, my grandpa. So a lot of times if I have questions, whether it be like how to book a rodeo, or if I'm having problems like just performing, just having a fresh pair of eyes on it. It's hard because we do a sport, but we don't have a coach. So a lot of times you have to be very honest with yourself. And I think that's a hard deal for a lot of people to look in the mirror and be like, your shortcomings are here. And it's never great when you're telling your partner that, we try to build each other up. We live in a trailer. I won't forget, I had somebody actually the other day, 2 older guys, and they were giving me crap about being married. And I'm like, well, how long? Oh, well, 2 years from now, you'll be, tell me how marriage is then. I was like, well, and I kind of let them talk for a minute, and they were kind of giving me a hard time about like, well, you won't love her in a few. And like, I was like, well, you see that horse trailer? I've lived it with her for 5 years in that horse trailer. And we do 30-hour trips where we're in a very tight space. We live in a 10x12 box. Like, I don't know a lot of people that spend that much time together. And 5 years later, I still like to be with her. Big part of that success is I don't try to tell her what she's doing wrong, and she don't tell me. So being able to go to our family, and my dad, he can be like, he's honest. My dad is not going to sugarcoat it. If you're not doing good, he's going to tell you, and if you're doing good though, he's going to say, and you're actually doing good. So be able to get that support from other people, it helps separate what we do, and it allows us to be each other's cheerleaders. So I'm glad when her mom can tell her to slow down and be safe. And I'm glad my dad can tell me to do better, because then it can kind of keep us not at each other's throats.
Absolutely. That's great advice. I hope our listeners are paying attention.
I was going to say, my husband and I compete in the same sport as well.
Oh my gosh.
And we have different training styles, but we always get to the same type of thing.
Yeah.
We cannot tell each other what the other one's doing.
It just doesn't work. I know. And Ryder and I have two different mentalities. He's like, take it slow, start. And I'm just full send.
Full send,
And
always.
it's hard.
Yes, exactly. All right. So talking about advice, what is one piece of advice you would have for somebody maybe looking to become a trick rider or even just getting into the horse industry in general?
Yeah, so I mean, hard work, that's always a good one. As far as the trick riding goes, like I said, I had a good coach, and I think that's so important. I just said that at my demo today. Some little girls asked, how can you get started? And I said, go to someone good. Learn how to be safe, because that's truly important, is learning from a good, reputable coach how to be safe, get a good horse and take time to train, And if you want to get into horses, like I said, I get a lot of questions on, oh, how old is too old? And we got that last week at a lot of our demos, and you could start at any age. If you're willing to work hard and put the time in, then you could do anything. So Work hard and know that you can do it.
Yeah. I've been asked, I always think that priorities, you got to put God first. If that's not center, then there's really no point in the rest. Family's always second, and make sure that you love your family and your friends. Third is it's working hard. And then that's the priority chain, is like the act and all that comes third in our lives. It does take passion. It does take hard work. And then last, I would say just being a good person. A lot of this, she had a good coach. I got a lot of help from Vince Bruce, Mas Graziolazzo. I'm sure they've performed here. I wouldn't be anywhere without them. A lot of she's been able to help a lot of people coming up. I've been able to help a lot. It's kind of coming full circle where you help the next generation and be careful what you say about people. That's probably one of the biggest deals, is being nice to people. Is it gets you a lot farther in this world than anything, is just being a good person.
Kindness. It's very important.
Yeah.
That's a great note.
So wrapping up a little bit, if listeners want to get in contact with you or even want to just follow you as you travel the United States and all over, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so on Facebook, it's Ryder and Bethany Kiesner Rodeo Entertainment or Western Entertainment. I can't remember, but they're either Ryder Kiesner or Bethany Isles. We have Instagram.
You used my maiden.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. No,
He's still getting used to it.
It's been a couple months. I'm gonna sleep on the couch tonight. But on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, we always have videos we're posting, and a lot of times she's better at it. Follow her because she'll post the schedule. Me, I'm like once a month, like, this is a funny video.
I will say, and if you have questions about, hey, where do I get a trick rope? Hey, who's a good coach in my area? Please message us. We would love to help you and answer your questions. Like Ryder said, we got a lot of help coming up, and we like to help when we can. So feel free to message us.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your thoughts, your wisdoms, your stories. It's been amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
The Midwest Horse Fair is proudly presented by the Wisconsin State Horse Council Incorporated for over 40 years. Net proceeds from the fair are used by the Wisconsin State Horse Council to promote the equine industry through leadership, education, service, and communication, as well as taking a proactive role in the future growth and development of the equine industry. Thanks again for listening to the Midwest Horse Fair Outside the Arena podcast, where we share stories from expert horse clinicians and entertainers. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and continue to tune in every month and learn about the lives and hear valuable advice from the folks we are proud to have join us at the fair. Learn more about the Midwest Horse Fair at midwesthorsefair.com.
It's not a horse show, it's a horse fair, and you gotta be there. It's the great Midwest Horse Fair.